Hi guys, man. There's so much to catch up on. Um, a lot of weather. We had crazy thunderstorm. They've been warning about a thunderstorm for about 3 weeks. Um, in typical fashion, it's not come. And the warning for this one only went up after it already started, really. But regardless, it was it was a good one, and probably one of the worst I've seen in Britain for a very long time. Unfortunately, I couldn't do much about it because I was flooded out doing something I was doing at an outside studio, and it was underwater, which meant I got to see not very much of the storm. I knew the storm was coming because I watched the cloud rolling around like that, and then like that, and it almost formed a perfect tornado. It was a rotating thunderstorm. I was like, holy shit! So I was out with my dog, and I teach her to enjoy thunderstorms. So we were going out to enjoy it. I saw this cloud coming down. I was like, "Is that a funnel cloud?" But it backed off, so no. But definitely a rotating thunderstorm, and didn't have my camera. And it's twice that day. The first time I could forgive, but the second time I knew what was out there, and I still forgot my camera. And I just thought, this is not like in the old days. I would have always had my camera on me. And I got like halfway over the field, and I was like, "What's that over there?" And I realised it was a wall of ice and rain coming at me and the dog. And yeah, and I said, and I wasn't prepared for it. Again, no camera, no nothing. So I just shouted at the dog, "Come on, let's go!" and started running this way, and got nearly home before the rain caught up. Because it was in no rush, sometimes it moves really quickly, you got no chance, but it was in no rush, so that's why I could see the hardest direction to see is if it's coming towards you. So but I just see a wall of rain, and I was like, wait, it ain't going anywhere else. Let's go. But yeah, instead of seeing the best thunderstorm I've seen in years, I was under sheets of plastic and all sorts, trying to get them out of 6 inches of water, 2 inches of water, 5 inches of water, wherever I was. Yeah, so I missed pretty much the whole thing. But what I saw beforehand was amazing. The fact that I didn't get it on camera is disgusting, and I'm never forgiving myself for it. Um, this year has been. I've got a lot documented. I hope, if I haven't deleted it accidentally, I've got a lot documented. This has been the year of bragging about equipment, failed weather forecasts, consistently failed weather forecasts. They're going to call this the hottest summer on record. I know they are, and it's by manipulation, and I can prove all of this, because technically it will be, because it was above average nearly every single day of this summer. They're going to say we had 4 heat waves. I can prove definitively and scientifically, as long as the recordings have been kept, and probably even now, that there was one. But they're going to go with, oh, we had the same amount as we did in 2022. No, we didn't. I can prove it. Everything says I'm right. And the facts, the temperatures say I'm right. And I've got all this. It's I'll be honest with you, it's finding the motivation and everything else at the moment to put it all together, because I've got a congruent story that shows you and I don't even think it's media lies, except for the climate change stuff. It's more, in some cases it was, when they were desperate to forecast 39 degrees and it was 29 degrees, but other than that, it was more just incompetence. Oh, we've got this new weather satellite, we've got all this new data, and all they did was update the weather forecast every 24 hours. But for those of you who are still watching, any of you who do, any of you who do the crosswords, especially in newspapers and things like that, some of you start to get to know the person who's writing the crosswords, and you start to work out answers to the crossword based on who's writing them, because you know the way they think, right? Well, and I'm saying that to try and give some kind of anchor here. I've been watching forecasts, and people have been saying to me, how come every time I watch a different channel I'm seeing a different forecast? And I've been saying, well, they've got all this new weather data, and it's a load of shit. Well, that's part of it, But what I didn't realise until I started watching these forecasts for myself, I watched one guy give a forecast that looked completely different to somebody else's. And the reason it looked completely different is because his outlook of the whole forecast was from a southerly direction, which meant he didn't give the people watching any clue of what was happening around them, and therefore no clue of what was really to come, or if he got it wrong, what would be happening. And it was just, you would get the totally wrong idea about the weather. But he did say some things that were very interesting that she didn't. She, on the other hand, gave a more comprehensive entire UK view of the weather, which was much more easy for the layman to understand because it was obvious what was happening in each quarter. Even if it can't be as accurate, she was giving a more, showing you what was happening everywhere and why. And that, as a result, gave you an idea that what a mess, something, whatever it's going to happen, it's a mess. So it was making it obvious to the layman, and she did quite a good job. But what I realised is this: these weather people have more, as in the weather men and women that you see on TV, have more power than you realise. Because how can they give different weather reports? How can different stations give different weather reports? How can different newspapers give weather reports? And I'll tell you how. They're all working off the same data, so how can they come to different conclusions? And I'll tell you, it's called ego. The person that gives you that weather report is writing it for themselves. They've taken the data, they've taken the trend, and and bear in mind, at the moment, there's about 4-5 models at the moment that could be what happens, and there's one model that's usually more likely. Some of these weather people, out of arrogance, will just choose one and go with it and say that's the right one. You're getting somebody else's interpretation of the data. Now that's true in all forms, but what I mean is you're getting their particular opinion rather than just the most scientific likelihoods where they could just say we don't know. They do sometimes, but whether we don't know, or you're getting someone's ego and you're getting someone's opinion. And that's why you're getting different reports on different stations, because you're seeing one person, and weather reports should never be done by one person in this day and age, but you're seeing one person looking at a bunch of data and coming up with, in some cases, some crazy answers based on recency bias, to be honest. Why would you forecast 39 degrees, which would have been equal to our original highest temperature until we broke it? I'll tell you why: because it happened in 2022. Recency bias. So you've had complete incompetence which could have been avoided. And there's actually been many a day when I've been affected by their weather forecasts, because I don't pay too much attention to them, but there's certain days when you need to know certain basic things, and they haven't been able to get even the most basic things right. It's been, honestly, there are years when I can forgive their mistakes because they get the weather wrong by a day. That's easy for anybody to get wrong, because the weather doesn't stop, but slows down. It can do all kinds of things. It can change direction, low goes around high. There's a lot of things that can affect the way. So I understand if they're a day late, but they were 3 weeks late with the weather and called it a victory. They've just been consistently wrong, and then making last minute forecasts and calling it right because they made it 2 hours before, and it's quite literally the worst year in weather forecasting I have ever seen. We've had what I would call the longest, best, above average summer that we've ever had. As in, it's been beautiful. I went out the other day and it was 18 degrees because we'd had a thunderstorm. It was 18 degrees, no matter which way you slice it. Shouldn't be t-shirt weather, shouldn't be warm, and especially if it's cloudy. And I went outside, and like many other times this summer, not that it's been 18 many times, but even when it's been 20, 21, I've gone outside and it's felt like it's 26. I can explain it through humidity and stuff like that, but I can explain 18 feeling like 20 or 21. I've never experienced what I've experienced this year. this air that made 18 at night feel like 20, 18 in the daytime feel like 24, 25, made 23 degrees feel like 29 degrees. I've never experienced anything like it. The temperatures, for the most part, weren't bold. In my area, they were between 22 and 25, 26 degrees at the most. And at night time, they were warm as well, but they were warm. They were very rarely hot. I think we didn't get much above 28. I don't think we got 28 was the highest we got to where I am once. But it was just a long, drawn out summer, and I think it's going to be one of the longest, nicest summers on record. Even though much of it was cloudy, but this is what makes it one of the best summers, because a lot of people don't like the sunshine. A lot of people don't like the heat. All right, you might be dipped out with the heat, but a lot of people don't like certain aspects of summer. But they were saying for everyone, you had a little bit of rain, you had windy days, you had a lot of cloud, you had sunshine, beach days, you had a bit of everything. As long as you didn't look at the weather forecast, listen to their heat wave forecasts, you actually had a bit of everything. It was never cold. I didn't have to put a jumper on for months, for literally about 2-3 months. And I say didn't, and I keep saying didn't, and it's not the end of the summer yet. Britain's summers can end any time in August or September, and you still get flashes of summer after that, but it's never quite the same. So you have these days or even weeks that are right back in the middle of summer. They feel like it, and when they're over, then you feel the time of year. You know, you really do feel it. But that massive thunderstorm, when they happen, they do drag up all the hot air. And today I went out, and it affects me mentally in a way it doesn't affect other people, but it may just be that the thunderstorms have sucked the heat, because they do suck all the heat up. That's their job. And also the inevitable. And it may just be that. It certainly doesn't not feel like summer. It doesn't feel like autumn. It just feels like regular summer. This strange summer that we've had for months, where whatever it looks like, I can go out there, whatever temperature it says on there, I can go out there with a t-shirt on and be confident that I'm going to feel warm and probably hot. Doesn't matter if it says 18, 20, 25, 22, I know it's going to feel like it's about 28 degrees. Today I went out with a jumper on for the first time. Did get warm in the end, the sunshine came out and it was, like summer, but still, there's a difference in the air. It feels like a normal British summer again now. I hope whatever it was comes back, but truly I've never experienced something like that went on for so long. And again, give you the wrong idea. It's not that, it certainly wasn't the hottest summer in terms of heat waves, in terms of beach days. We had a lot of anticyclonic gloom, which is when the weather should be perfect, but it's cloudy and there's not a lot of actual reasons why. And it should technically be a sunny day, but we had a lot of anticyclonic gloom, so a lot of days that didn't live up to the forecast. Sorry, 1 second. So yeah, we had a lot of that, but it didn't matter. It was just, that's what I mean. As long as you didn't mind the cloudy days and all the rest of it, it was just a consistently warm summer. There was no days of dropping down to fucking 15 degrees, 12 degrees. Night times were, and now night times are dropping down to 10, dropping down to, and although we're forecast to have some warm days, I hope it comes back, but you can feel a difference. I can feel it down to my bones today. And it's not that it's cold, it's not cold. It's, in fact, this morning I think it was about 17 by about 9 o'clock, which is alright. That's, for the time of year, that's not bad. But I'm used to it being at least 20 by that time and feeling a lot warmer, if that makes any sense. Don't get me wrong, it is a time of year for cooling down in Britain, but sometimes it can happen after the first week, sometimes after 2 weeks. And again, don't get me wrong, we could record the hottest temperature ever recorded next week. It doesn't mean that can't happen. But in terms of a long period of weather, That generally tends to rely on Europe as well, and Europe's gone cold at the moment. So any chances of a big heat wave, a really hot one, are not likely at the moment. We might have a small one coming, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We will have nice weather again. It's just this amazing summer. But they're going to manipulate, and I think I've worked out how they're manipulating the temperatures now. And if I can, I'm going to explain it in this video that I may or may not end up making. But yeah, we've been above average nearly every day, which technically makes it the warmest summer if you compare it to the averages of all other summers. But when you combine the averages of the summers like 2018, 2020, 1976, they do come out on average as cooler. Especially, this is really important, if you include the nighttime temperatures. The nighttime temperatures were particularly what was above average this year. The nighttime temperatures were way above average. The daytime temperatures actually were above average, but only by 3-4 degrees at most. When you take away that, it changes things. And yeah, there's more to come. There's more to come. If you've stuck with it this far, then all I can say is I can prove 90% of the fact that they're incompetent and incapable and should all be fired. And also, I think I can back up 90% of it, and 10% of it at least can offer really good questioning and evidence. Yeah, they don't, and this is what bothers me. Not only are they advising people of dangerous weather like heat waves and things like that, instead of pushing a climate agenda, those heat waves are supposed to be for public safety. Or any warnings, thunderstorms, is supposed to be for public safety, not for headlines. They're all doing this for headlines at the cost of real safety warnings, and people know it. So nobody takes safety warnings seriously. That's why people die. It's a fucking joke, and nobody does anything about it. And it annoys me as a person. Don't get me wrong, I love extreme weather, but I know other people don't, especially at the cost of their fucking houses. So it annoys me. These people are being paid a lot of money to give you misinformation, and it is, if it's slightly wrong or whatever else, then you could be called pedantic. But when it's completely wrong, multiple times in a row, in fact, consistently throughout summer, you can say that you've been given misinformation and they've been paid for it. That to me is wrong. If I did that, I'd be chased off the internet. So, again, you've seen me prove bits of it, but if I can get my arse together, I'll put a video together proving it. For those that are interested, and I know there'll be a few, not many, but there might be. I'm just sick of like I say, I'm sick of them being paid for giving you misinformation, based on the climate agenda, based on recency bias, based on incompetence, and based on new data they don't know how to process yet, and yet they have tried to process, and based on one man's interpretation. Instead of just worrying about the data facts, one man's interpretation, who's gone with one model over the others, man or woman, because women are doing the same thing, and that gives you a dishonest and possibly completely wrong outlook, which it has done. And this is why different TV stations report different things, and different papers and different online spaces. Because it's down to the person given with the report to interpret the weather forecast. So really, yeah, and that's what I really got to say about it. So just think about that. Just think of how good they'll feel if they keep getting it right. And listen, I'm not a professional weather forecaster, I'm an amateur, and I realised the other day that a lot of my knowledge is getting very old. I need to update it. But you still got a bit of an ego about it. Everybody likes being right, don't they? So think about it, yeah, if they're on TV. Anyway, if you've stuck with it, then you must be a weather freak like me. I'll catch you soon.